Is this how you take notes from YouTube lectures? But don't you find it difficult to focus on the video and note-taking at the same time?
In this video, we are going to use this incredible invention that only costs $25 to get the parts for, to take these incredible wide-angle macro photos of live insects. But first, I want to give you a bit of a background and also explain how this lens is built, because you will learn some very interesting things about optics and how lenses are constructed overall. So this whole story began a few weeks ago when there was a discussion in my Discord server on how to build your own wide-angle macro lens. A wide-angle macro lens is very cool because you can take photos of insects up close, like with a macro lens, but you can also get a lot of the surroundings in the same photo, giving a unique perspective that is impossible to get with a regular macro lens. There is only one wide-angle macro lens for sale on the market, and that is the Laowa 15mm. And while it is a good wide-angle macro lens, it is pretty hard to use because the lens is so big and wide. So it's very hard to get the lighting right, because with a wide-angle macro lens with a short focal length, you need to be like this close to your subject to focus on it. You almost need to touch the insect with a lens to get a photo. So it's really hard because this lens is so big and wide, so you will kind of push away the flower that the insect is sitting on. And also it's very hard to light the subject because the light should come from the front, right? But at the front is the lens. So it would be much nicer with like a thin, narrow wide-angle macro lens. And you can construct your own wide-angle macro lens using the same principle as the Laowa 15mm. You can take a super wide-angle lens. I tried this. This is the Samyang, or in this case Volimex, which is another brand that Samyang uses, 12mm fisheye lens. You can take a lens like this, and then you can apply a little bit of extension tubes, and you will get basically a wide-angle macro lens. But the big problem here is that the wider a lens is, the shorter the focal length is, the less extension tubes you need to have to reach macro magnifications. And if you apply too much extension tubes, sure, you will get the high magnification, but the problem is that the focusing point will be inside the lens, so you'll not be able to focus on anything. So in order to get the focusing point just in the front of the lens, to get around 0.5 to 1 time magnification, you need to apply just like a few millimeters of extension, and there are no extension tubes like this. But what you can do, that I tried, is to buy the lens for a DSLR. This is for Canon EF, and then buy a helicoid adapter that adapts it to Sony, but at the same time you can actually twist and turn this adapter to get a little bit of extension. And that way you can actually use a lens like this as a wide-angle macro lens. Anyways, I tried that. It was not a lot of fun because the magnification was not that good. And also
Question: would you build a website for a major brand with more than 200 million users using
All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another breakdown, and today we are keeping the 4x3 train rolling. This one is different country, different continent, different cinematographers, right? We have changed it up a little bit, and we're going to notice some differences. Number one, I think the first thing you'll notice as we let the ad roll, let's just play through it here as I talk so that you can see what I'm looking at. We're in 4x3, but no grain, which has me believing Alexa Mini LF, VFX, Sky Replace, and lots of VFX here. Super clean. Clean and also creamy is the word. Like there is something to the highlights and something to the shadows. And there is that, especially in that grandma shot, which we'll talk about, there is that separation, the depth of field that you get, the larger field of view that you get with full frame. You can just really feel it here. This is open gate Alexa Mini LF all day long. You get all the sensitivity, you get everything from it, and this is a really good looking commercial. I don't know who actually shot this, but I just randomly found it online, and it's new, and it looks fantastic, so why not break it down for the channel? Okay, and let's get to it. We don't want to do everything here. Let's go to, oh, I love this kind of stuff, right? I am a sucker for Titan tubes in the shot. Show me Titan tubes in the shot and I will show you the future. Lots of interesting things happening here. We start from there, we go to our close-up of the man. We're walking in as our extra is walking this way. We're lighting from this way, framework. We got edge. He doesn't really look up, but you see this, it creates this little edge here, just like it does on the extra. This little highlight is what we're after. The 4x3 frame we've already talked about, but really it's this little highlight is what we're after, and then darkness on this side. And then this guy's in white, but we still managed to get that little bit of light on him and a little bit of light this way. We got some ambient backlight here coming from our Titan tube that we just chucked in the background. And we're also framing him inside this little box, right? Very nice looking image. And I know that this is actually the commercial that went to air, right? This is not like a director's cut or anything like that. This is on somebody's website and on TV. So we go from there to back up our shot, right? And as we back up, what happens if we go forward a little bit more? Does it clear up a little bit? Not really. So this is again the shot, Titan tube, a little bit of ambient up here. We're got our neon up there. We're creating depth by shooting through the doorway. Very old trick, shooting through the doorway. And we should probably go full frame here just so we can see it a little bit better. What's going on? Every single time I try and go full frame, why isn't it going? There we go. Okay, so come back here, and there is just that little hint of softness, that little glow, which makes me think either this is K35s, but knowing that this was shot in Australia and there's only one set in Australia and the set is not that great, I'm going to say this is not K35s. I'm going to say it is like your GL Optics, your Canon FDs, or your Leica Rs. You just get that little bit of softness in there. Who knows? It's probably signature primes, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, this one is interesting because you get that depth, because we're getting the little reflective qualities on all of the tables, right? We're shooting into this, getting reflection here, just peppering the image with things that will create depth. Lots and lots of different layers here. This one, this lady here, lady, person, other person, guy in the background who's actually the subject. Like just trying to create as much depth as we can. And you can see as soon as you start to stack those elements, and the lighting is easy, right? We get here, we figure this is gonna be our frame on the Tech Scout, we like this. Well, where are we gonna come with the lighting? The whole team is looking at you like, where are we gonna come with the lighting? Say, I got you. All we gotta do, Titan tube, put it in the background, put it on the invoice. We're gonna come with level from this way, and because we can never see over there, we can happily do that, and then we will block all the light from this way. So just creating this one direction of light, of source. Okay, now this is the one where I have my doubts. I have my doubts that this is a real skyline. I could be wrong, but this is also the thing. I mean, I've done this on Instagram over the past few months. This cloud as well, the level of blue in the sky, that transition from light to more saturated, and then all these buildings in the background, right? There is probably, this is probably a real location, and I'm just being paranoid. But there is something with the Mini LF and the large frame just in general, is that if you go so super shallow, it becomes an effect where everything looks so flat because it just looks like a green screen because the depth of field is so shallow. It ends up looking very, very strange. And this is one of those moments where it's probably not the right size of shot, as in to really get the green screen effect, we'd probably want to be slightly closer to her than this. This is quite wide. So maybe this is a real building over here. It's just perfectly lit, right? It looks like there's a big, giant silk in the sky that is softening off these shadows on the building when she is really, really harsh and he is really filled in. Like that, this level of filliness is what happens when you're outside and you don't neg. This is what the level of filliness is. You feel the sun is over here, right? Well, where is this return coming from? Where's all this return on him coming from? That's just the ambient. So if you don't like that look, if it feels a little flat, which it does, just throw some neg in there, right? This is a little bit of a lighter and brighter one, so that is not in there, but you could feel just how harsh that sun is. But perfect time of day, right? Notice one big, huge thing for the framework is even though it can't be backlit, right? Because we're not gonna move the pool or the time of year that we're shooting this thing, we just have to shoot when we have to shoot. In the schedule process, you take out Sunseeker and you figure out, okay, the sun is gonna be here at 9 in the morning. It's gonna be here at 11. It's gonna be here at 1. This is 3. Okay, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, it's out of this frame. And we know we're gonna be shooting 4x3. So we need it out of the frame. So it's over here, just over here. Because if it was here, you'd have to, these people would be silhouettes if you were gonna try and hold the rest of the sky, even with 14 stops of dynamic range. So either they waited till the perfect time when the sun's over here out of shot, or there's a big giant green screen right here. And none of this is real because this is an actor and we don't want her that close to the edge of this diving platform. Okay, from there, we keep going. Harsh, man, harsh. Look at that sun. Maybe this is real. Maybe this is an actual location. Maybe she's up there that high. This one, she's definitely not, right? Look at that change. So soft there, fairly soft. When I say soft, it's a sliding scale. It's not that soft, but this is harsh. Boom. Hello, harshness, my old friend. This is pretty harsh. And we hit the nose, but not the other side. And we didn't do any wrapping and we barely did any neg. So the transfer is just a little bit less nuanced here because we gone so hot up there, so hot down here that we don't really have this smooth transition from highlight to shadow, right? It goes harsh transition from highlight to slightly less highlight, and then just fills around to flatness. And in the background, again, this is that effect. Like this is that effect that I was talking about on steroids here. There's just a blob. She could be anywhere, right? Those are just, they don't even, I mean, you know they're trees from the previous shot, but there's just nothing back there. We were floating in this girl's head. Okay, that one leads to exterior. Looking down shot, can't see sun. Sun is over here, creates these shadows that are interesting, and the people's heads are in the soft light of the ambient, right? You don't want them in the harsh light of the sun, which would be flipped around. Imagine the camera was over here, looking this way, and these people were looking into the harsh sun. Not gonna look that nice. Plus, also not gonna get little highlight, little edge, and then shadow. Little highlight, little edge, then shadow, and this big long shadow, which is nice. And good old Scruffy over there, hanging out, watching the drone. How bad does that dog want to eat that drone? Just fucking chomp it up. Okay, boom. There it is. Sun just over here, low in the horizon. Man, this is a pretty painterly image. Sky replacement? Maybe. Drone really there? Not sure. But this is a beautiful looking, like look how painterly it looks down here. Whatever the lenses are doing here. Just that little bit of, impressionistic swirl to it. And then the colors, this is just a beautiful looking image. And then the height of the people in the image, that thing cutting across, their heads above the horizon, right? If you went up too high, their heads start to dip below the horizon, starts to look very average. You come down, you just get a little bit more, but say we want this field, we want the depth of the field. So if we come down too low, then this element here becomes, that is three-dimensional. As we come down and it gets flatter like that, becomes less three-dimensional and not good. What is going on with my pen? Let's switch that back to the normal size. There we go. And this one, how's that? Ooh, that's a little bit too big. And this is the good one. Okay, so next shot. Car work stuff. This is probably the more interesting frame. Now this one is a little bit different because we haven't done all the time what I say to do, which is put the source between the people and the background. This time we've put the source between the talent and the camera, right? So this is the fronty look. And what that gets you is, yeah, this is all lit up. This whole car is lit up, this side. But the reason we're